All aboard!
Greetings, passengers. You're listening to Derailed. For your own safety, please avoid getting attached to any one topic, as the Derailed crew will most likely, as their name suggests, derail before you have your fill. When listening to Derailed, please keep your earbuds in and your speakers low, as we would rather not be responsible for anything we may say on this podcast. Pulling into the station now is Season 2, Episode 9. My name is Oogly the Boogly, soothsayer, and part-time masseuse. And as always, I am joined by Harry, the queer engineer, and Adash, the track that claps back. What's going on, friends?
Hold on. Why am I the queer engineer now?
Because you're no longer in the closet. We just covered this like 3 minutes ago.
All right. I just got finished. You know what? I shouldn't be saying this on podcast.
Well, we'll just bleep out the entire sentence. Go ahead.
You're gonna bleep it out.
No, you're editing. You're gonna bleep it out.
What do you mean
or you're going to forget, and you're gonna keep it in.
Oh no, you don't forget it. I forgot to do more work.
What about your nickname, Dash? Any comments? The track that
I liked
claps
it.
back.
I said I liked it.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
I might have to put that in my Tinder bio.
It's because we like to ride you.
Okay.
Oh, definitely going in the Tinder bio.
Oh yeah. But not only do we ride you, you ride us back. That's why it's the track.
Exactly. A power bump.
So you're gonna ride whatever shit you're ready.
It's come full circle.
That's such it is so dumb because the joke doesn't fucking translate.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no one's gonna get that. Harry, flashback to the pre-podcast talk.
We didn't record that.
I love the concept of just adding a lot of editing work for Harry.
I'm not adding that shit.
All right, Harry, add some gun noises.
I'm not.
Okay, now add someone screaming.
Okay. But what was the flashback memory?
I think you missed it, so you can find out when you record and decide if you want.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's get to Adash's intro section.
So today, my teachable moment will be on the one thing I actually am for sure more knowledgeable on than you guys. Because honestly, I've realized that's not a field that has many answers for me. Like I don't actually have many fields of expertise. But anyway, my topic was inspired by like just on Reddit in real life, just like hearing people like talk about the subject. And just being so confidently wrong that it pisses me off. But it's...
that is Reddit.
Yeah.
It's on AI. And more specifically, like, is it actually AI? The I in AI. Is it intelligent? So, most people have no idea what an AI model actually is. Like, they hear the words artificial intelligence, and they assume that it means we made a machine capable of thinking. And, like, especially now that GPT has risen and it, like, exploded onto the scene, it's, like, easily able to pass for a human. So people assume, like, it's actually able to think. And that's just not true. Right. But, like...
just a quick question, Adash. Do you happen to have any microphones planted, like, in my general vicinity?
What?
That was a very suspicious what. All I'm saying is I had this exact conversation with my dad like a day ago, but okay, continue. Like I literally did a whole rant in the car being like, yeah, artificial intelligence is not what people think it is, and everyone thinks it's like actual artificial intelligence, and that's just the fact that it's evolved to a point where it's now able to actually fool people sometimes.
we're gonna move on from the microphone comment. Anyway, so I
don't know about that, but
you may want to start sweeping your room.
You'll never find it, because it doesn't exist. I mean,
it's walls.
I am in your walls.
All right, and Ash, I wasn't talking to myself. I have an imaginary friend, and we have erotic relations sometimes. Don't worry about it.
Wait. So it's better for you to have an imaginary friend than for you to talk to yourself.
That's an ethics question.
You didn't know the things.
Honestly,
you didn't hear the things I was saying.
I don't know if that really makes it better, or I think
it
that
makes it hotter
worse
for me. Anyway.
But okay, you know what, y'all do what y'all want to do.
So I figured I'd quickly dive into like what AI is. So the thing with AI is,
what is AI?
It's a broad term, and
what's a term? You trying to kill me?
You could just sense an Ash's disappointed stare.
You're not wrong. You're right.
It's a podcast, and I think like anyone could hear that and what just happened.
Anyway, so it's got a bunch of different subfields inside of it. So like the analogy I like is like it's like calling someone a scientist. Like they could be an expert in rocketry, biochemistry, Harry's rapid onset of osteoporosis, or like really any other category.
I need to look that one up.
See, I just heard Harry's rap at first, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Yes,
it's bone atrophy.
It's the body cost. What does that mean? Becoming weak? My bones aren't weak or brittle.
But yeah. Anyway, like.
Hold on. Don't just
We can ignore all those subfields, and we can focus on the two main umbrellas of AI. There's artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence. We'll focus specifically on artificial narrow intelligence. So this is when an AI model is trained to do one thing and it does it really well. So think of Tesla's full self-driving. It's really good at like taking in images and then navigating an object, in this case the car, based on like its surroundings. So like you give it a video of its surroundings and then it navigates. But if you give that same AI a list of MRI scans and ask it to detect osteoporosis, then it would act like there's nothing wrong with Harry at all, because it doesn't know how to distinguish.
Well,
okay,
if it's Harry, I think the Tesla
but
could
that's
see
what
it.
I'm saying.
'Cause that's just
it
like
even couldn't do
my
that.
bones
like-
aren't getting brittle.
you don't need a
The
specialized
joints and
AI
the
to.
muscles and the shit just aren't having a great time.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could deliver a newborn infant from their mother and then show them to Harry, and they'd be like, "Damn, son."
Okay. My bones are fine. It's the joint.
Look, last time we made contact, you literally fucking like rang like a tube. So,
No, I didn't. That's a lie.
I don't think so.
This is slander.
So anyway,
Harry the human xylophone.
Shut the fuck up.
This is why our intros take so long. So the point is that AI, like it can only do one thing and it can do it really well. So GPT, for example, it looks like it's able to do a bunch of things really well, but actually it's only good at one thing, and that's finding patterns between words. So it's very good at relationship recognition between words. So GPT is what's called a large language model, or LLM. And these models use what
does LLM mean?
Large language model. And
Really?
yeah,
What is LLM?
I hate you. It uses something called a layered approach. So it's a neural network. So essentially you start with raw data, and then it goes through different layers that like analyze it, and then the model trains on that data. This is a very high overview. So the first layer for the model uses unlabeled data. So it's just a bunch of raw data. And there's like, we're talking like petabytes of data. And the whole point for the AI here is just to find patterns between different words. Like it's just trying to find like relationships between words. After that, the next layer, it's given labeled data. which is like a lot more like supervised learning. And then scientists go in, or computer scientists go in, and they do a lot of fine tuning to like tweak out all the bad data, tweak out all the bad responses the AI generates. And anyway, after it does that for a long, long time, it's then capable of taking in a base prompt. Like you can feed it something, and then it'll generate word relationships based on that prompt. So what this means is it actually is able to generate completely new sentences, even if the training data didn't have these sentences. It can actually create what looks like new ideas, but it's just pattern recognition.
It fills you with determination.
It's like synthesized.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like the story we did last time, where
exactly.
it's like no one's told that story before.
There was no Oogly the Boogly before yesterday.
It follows the patterns of other stories and stuff. So,
apparently, all the other stories, everyone gets filled with determination.
I mean, to be fair, I think
there was so much determination.
All that showed was everybody fills their characters with determination. If I write a story, my character is going to be lazy as shit, dog. He's never going to be determined. I asked ChatGPT this. I was like, so I asked it like if my analysis was correct. So what I said was, if I were to say that you function by finding relationships between words and predict what the next word should be based on your training data, is that accurate? And GPT says, yeah, that's an accurate way to describe part of how I function. As a language model, I analyze patterns and relationships in the training data I've been exposed to. This allows me to make predictions about the next word or sequence of words based on the context provided in the input. By training on vast amounts of text data, I learn statistical associations between words and phrases, enabling me to generate coherent and contextually relevant responses. However, this is the part that's important, it's important to note that my predictions are based on patterns observed in the data and do not involve true understanding or reasoning like a human would. In other words, the AI predicts, like it's a math model. It predicts what it thinks.
There's no actual intelligence.
Yeah, it just predicts what the
next
like a weather right
forecast.
Word should be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially an extremely advanced algorithm.
Yeah. And that's all AI is so far, artificial narrow intelligence.
I like Adash asking the thing he's teaching on what it actually is for clarification.
I saw the irony of this. I was like, that's pretty hilarious. But
that's a classic,
yeah.
I feel like this sort of thing, like this sort of technology of just like super, super advanced pattern recognition has probably been around for a decently long time. Obviously, it's evolved a lot recently to points where it's kind of crazy now. But
well, the other thing to keep in mind
that's
is
literally what weather
hardware.
forecasting is. So
what GPT requires. I think OpenAI said at one point they burned through $1 million a day or something crazy.
Dollars?
Yeah.
God.
Damn. And I was honestly surprised that number wasn't more. They must be making quite a bit of money to offset because GPT, for example, accepts 1 trillion parameters. Like, understand how crazy that is. It was trained on 1 trillion parameters.
That's a lot of parameters.
I remember when I did like my AI my internship, and like we were dealing in the thousands, and we'd use like Google Colab's thing, and they were using like enterprise GPUs, and that shit would still take like a solid 20 minutes to pump out like a model. So GPT is just like, it's different levels. Like, it's such a massive project.
It's like all the way back to like when chess computers were a big thing. I mean, they're still a big thing, but like people designing algorithms to basically pattern recognize how like world-class players played and counter it. Yeah. See, what I need a chess computer that does that, but also has like ChatGPT to teach it how to trash talk as it's playing. You gotta win the psychological game too.
I wonder if GPT would be impossible to beat. I don't think it would be. Actually, no, it wouldn't be, because that's so the reason. By the way, GPT sucks at math. I remember Harry gave me one of his math problems to do, and it was like awful at it. Is because word pattern recognition means it's not good at actual mathematics. Like, it sucks at math. There's a plugin for Wolfram Alpha that actually makes it so that like GPT sends all the math that it has to do to the Wolfram plugin. The plugin does the math and then sends it back. And that gives it a lot more capability. but
Yeah.
at its base, the AI, the model cannot do math. It sucks at math.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like, I think it's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's mostly because it's like what the pattern recognition and results that it spats out are like an approximation of what it thinks is the correct thing, which is not how math works.
Exactly.
You can't like approximate anywhere near the, because like you even see like in the story we created last week, it's like, I said it during the podcast, but like only like maybe 50% of that was usable if you were actually trying to release it. And convince people you're a human being. Like the potential is there for a human to transform that into something that seems like a human being, but just on its own, there's no way anyone would be fooled into thinking, because like all the little like things that it does when it's trying so hard to figure out what we want. So it makes like tiny little mistakes all over the place that makes it really obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even like things like tense issues, like past tense, present tense issues, and grammar. Well, it usually doesn't make grammar issues, but it does like to change tense sometimes, and also like forget information that it just spouted or reiterate things that don't need to be reiterated. Roast duck, I'm looking at you.
Oh, true.
They're like, the roast duck smells amazing. It's like, we know! You told us like 8 times!
Yeah, so anyway, based on what the AI said, it actually has zero comprehension of what it's saying to you. So like any sentence it generates, it doesn't know it said that. In other words, it's not aware of itself, which makes it an artificial narrow intelligence. But just to be clear, I confirmed that with GPT-2. So I asked it to describe itself as an artificial narrow general intelligence.
It's lying to you.
Yeah,
it's trying to hide its intelligence.
So GPT says it would describe itself as an artificial narrow intelligence. While it's been trained on a diverse range of data and can generate human-like responses, my abilities are limited to specific tasks, such as generating text based on given prompts. I excel at language processing and understanding, but my capabilities are focused in that context. I do not possess a general understanding of the world or the ability to reason and comprehend information beyond the scope of my training data. I actually tested this because naturally the one thing, like if it was able to reason, which is how you would determine if it was an artificial general intelligence, it would be able to predict, right? Like that's a pretty good indicator. So I asked it to predict when an artificial superintelligence would exist. And it basically just says that, like, I'm an AI language model. I don't have access to real-time information or the ability to make predictions about the future developments in technology. So in other words, it literally just doesn't know how to do that. It then gives an answer like creating artificial superintelligence would require significant advancements in AI research. So it shows you like how it should be done, but it can't predict.
The generic kind of
Right.
narrative.
It's just spouting out information that it has within its database.
What's really interesting though is like now that I've like explained how the model works is it kind of flips a lot of what we have known to be true, because it suggests that it's not reasoning that drives language, but rather language that drives reasoning. Right? Which is very ass backwards. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not here to teach that because that's just like a general, like, just an observation I made. I was like, it's very interesting. Anyway, the second type of AI is artificial general intelligence. And all I have to say on this is this type of AI can comprehend its own reality. As of now, no such model exists. No such model is close to existing. And, in my opinion, such model should exist. Because, if the whole, like, Titan sub should teach us anything, it's to not let our goddamn hubris enable us to mess with unimaginably powerful forces we cannot hope to control. And that's what...
Yes, but part of me kind of loves the idea of, like, because, there's so much fiction around, like, the idea of when artificial general intelligence actually exists, and, like, the horrors of humanity that will happen when robots learn that we suck. And it's like, I don't disagree with that being a very likely possibility, but I do like to humor the idea, like, what if we do finally create that, and it's just a fucking dumbass? Like, it's just, like, really stupid. Because it has reasoning, but it's getting information from so many different people and like getting like views from so many different sides that it just has no idea what it's doing. So it's just fucking dumb as shit.
It would be funny, but unfortunately, I feel like the only likely outcome is like ants. in an anthill that's in the AI's way, and that's us. It's like, it doesn't hate us.
All right, well, on that on that happy note, yeah. Anything to add, Harry?
So
what do you have to say to our future AI overlords?
What up, cuh? So I was gonna clarify. So there's no actual, obviously, there's no general intelligence, but like the AIs that were like Google and Facebook had created, would those be considered actual intelligence as well?
Wait, sorry. Repeat the first part.
Like when you said like general intelligence, would that be the ones that Facebook and Google created? Would those be general intelligence?
You mean like Google Bard?
Those are the same as GPT. They're also large language models.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're basically the exact same.
I was gonna say Bard ain't no way, because Bard is like a worse version of GPT.
Okay, so I
from what I've
know
heard.
what Bard was, but I was like, I thought Facebook was the one where like it started creating its own language and speaking to between itself.
See, I just feel like that stuff is
which then, if it's not a general intelligence, makes me think that seems like it was fucking talking gibberish. Then
it's more like it's possible for a narrow intelligence because there's so many different types. It's possible for one to misunderstand a prompt and create its own language, but I have a very, very strong feeling that that's just like.
But is creating a language something that requires general intelligence?
Yeah.
No,
because can't you just do that with like fucking amalgamating a bunch of things from different languages and then giving it a meaning that is already something that exists in the current.
If I remember that article correctly, it just created its own language to speak to itself faster. So that's kind of just another way of compressing. Like it likely just compressed like binary data. So it's just math.
Yeah.
It likely just made it like it just probably just made the fastest possible route to communicate with itself that like cut out the middleman. And that's like keep it binary.
This isn't what I'm saying it did, but like you could technically just take the English language and then copy the entire way that the entire system works and just scramble every word, and technically it's now a new language.
I mean that's basically what English is to Latin, so
yeah, kind of true.
Like, just copy paste a bunch of words from Latin, French, Spanish,
and then just fuck up a lot of the letters in some of the rules too.
Like it's, I mean, the thing is, like, if an artificial general intelligence existed, trust me, we'd know quickly.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 10 years.
I was just curious on that because I was like, people were freaking out about that shit, and I was like, I don't think any like of the AI shit we've seen so far is actually like proper AI. It's not just like
my favorite like
shit.
things of like AI and people like thinking or not thinking it's a real thing, but like involving themselves in it emotionally is like all those like chatbots that got released as experiments on social media that all inevitably turned into edgelords who just constantly talked about Hitler and suicide because of who was talking to them and feeding them information that they were
that's
then
the thing is
repeating.
Like that, those are also large language models are very good as being chatbots, as GPT shows, and it obviously learns based on the data you give it. The thing with those though is it's interesting because generally the training data and the model are separate. Like what you do is you kind of like hit run program with the training data. It then trains on the data and then it spits out a model. And then all you do to the model is give it any prompts, but it doesn't like remember those prompts unless you like. So like what they would have had to do is like they would have had to spit out a model and then for some reason have it store all the prompts and all the things people said to it and then train itself on that, which I feel like is, I don't know, that's questionable. But maybe that's just because I'm looking at it from an internet perspective. These people are like, oh, this makes the most sense because the model will constantly improve itself based on user feedback. But all I would think immediately is...
Has that ever worked? Like, they've tried this so many times and it never works.
You're not talking about beta testing. Like, you're talking about releasing it to the general public. Are you stupid? But
yeah. Like, I think it was Google that released this bot onto Twitter and then it turned into the edgelord. And then I'm fairly sure what happened is they took it down because, it was like, I hate Nazi shit propaganda. And then they took it down and then they tried to release a new one with a lot of restrictions and then it just did the same fucking thing.
It's just inevitably going to, which is what I'm pretty sure GPT doesn't do that. GPT doesn't train itself on user feedback. I think they do still store the data, but I think
because if it did, holy shit, yeah, people would break that system so fucking fast. We do have to move on to this. I think we eventually should just do an AI episode, because I think very obviously from the number of episodes we've done that are AI related, I think we're all very big AI hobbyists. At least you're more than a hobbyist, but I'm definitely a strong hobbyist for AI stuff. But
anyway, I just want
to interact with it.
I just want to end it on
my order at Bojangles.
I just want to end it by saying, please, for the love of God, do not say GPT can think. It can't think. Stop saying that.
Can't. Yeah, no. I'm on the other side of things, where everyone's being like, oh, AI is so close. Every time I see a new AI thing come out, I immediately want to break it as fast as I can, and I've succeeded every time. So Bard came out and I talked to it and tried to get it to break itself, and I managed it, and I did it with Snapchat's AI on day one. It's so easy to push it to the limit, to the point where it's okay, well, I just can't help you anymore because I'm not allowed to, or I literally quite possibly cannot help you because I'm not fucking intelligent. So okay, main topic time.
This topic is just, I think, poor, unhappy interactions with people. I know Adash was hyping up his as a grudge he's had for the past half century.
I'm not nearly that old. I'm not even a quarter century old. None of us are quarter century old. That is me.
Whoa, Harry, you can't say the N-word. Chill out.
Okay, first off.
Harry's first off, I can.
Okay, no. Alright, so this topic is the poor interactions, and since Adash has been holding on to his for quite a while, I was I don't know if we want to, if it's really hyped up to maybe go for that first, because I don't know about you, Greg, but I don't think I'm very confrontational for the most part, or create confrontations.
Oh, you guys know me. I'm confrontational as fuck, bro.
Oh yeah.
So I feel most of the times it's very hard. I don't have a lot of extended poor interactions with people.
This one wasn't extended, but it wasn't
I mean, I'm sure people have wronged you though, one-sidedly.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't do anything to them back, or even in the first place. There's gotta be some time people were shitting on you just because people are people.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if I've ever been shitted on per se. I have been used, but we can get on that later. I was gonna say Adash want to get his off, and then Greg and I don't know if you have any other ones.
So I'll start with the one I'm pretty sure you guys don't know. I may have said it once, but I doubt you guys remember it. But this was in 10th grade.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah,
Same.
Of course.
I was there.
This was after my I did an internship in 10th grade, and so that was every Tuesday and Thursday, and it was after school. So after it ends, I obviously take the I have to wait for my dad to come pick me up. So one of these days, we let out pretty early. So I went downstairs to wait near the school entrance, but inside, because it was December and it was cold as fuck outside, and it was super windy too. So everyone was waiting inside, and for some reason the secretary comes out and she's like, you guys can't wait in here, you have to wait outside. I'm like, what? It's still school hours. Most people don't leave till 5:30. It's only 5. And she's like, you have to wait outside. So we all get pushed outside, and we're staying in, and it's freezing. And, like, I stayed there for like 15 minutes. I don't have the jacket for this. And like my ears are like numb. They are like, when it gets cold, my ears start to hurt a lot.
Okay.
And so like I was waiting, and I was like, my dad's gonna take forever, because like I told him I was getting let out early, but like, it's my dad. Motherfucker does not know the meaning of on time. And so I was waiting, and then like I go in, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, I'll just go to the bathroom and then go out, because like that'll give me like brief reprieve. So I go in, and like I get to the door, and I'm like, can I, like, I open the door, and the principal's there, Kennedy, stupid bitch. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to use the bathroom. And she's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why? And she's like, because like, you're waiting for your parents. I'm like, yeah, they're not here. You won't be here for another like 10 minutes. So I'm just going to use the bathroom real quick, because it's like a 30-minute drive home. She's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, literally, why? And this bitch, this stupid, uneducated, dumb fuck of a whore, looks at me, holds eye contact, and closes the door.
Oh my God.
She said this is not up for discussion.
Yeah.
I just looked at her. I was like, are you serious? And she just turns and walks away. I remember. Oh my God. Fuck that.
See, I don't understand why they wouldn't just let you guys
wait inside. Yeah,
like,
we used to do that,
that's
by the way. Like
ridiculous.
that was just standard procedure. Like one day she just came outside. We were all just waiting. Nobody was causing any trouble, or like a couple people like talking to each other. Nobody was saying a word. She was like, didn't like that. And then like the next week she was like, yeah, you guys have to wait outside. I'm like, fucking why? It's freezing.
What the hell?
I would have called someone, honestly. I'd be like, all right.
I would have too, but who the fuck am I calling on the principal? Like, I was like, this isn't worth it.
I don't know, the cops?
It just wasn't worth it. So I just suffered outside for 15 minutes. It was actually like 30.
I wonder.
My dad took forever.
I wonder if you emailed the superintendent.
I don't know.
If they would have actually done anything, but
I don't think so. It's just such a stupid policy. Like you're there anyway. I've never seen like one piece of staff not be there till at least 5:30.
It's like best that we're no longer kids, because if I like had a similar mindset I had now with how we were as a kid and we're in that situation, I would have just forced her open the door. I'm like, I'm stronger than you, bitch.
Oh my God.
I'm not taking your shit.
Yeah.
You want to disrespect me? I'm gonna disrespect you. You're gonna be on the floor on your ass.
Yeah. The issue is, I wasn't about to do that to the principal. I was a goody two shoes.
I would. Fuck you, bitch.
Well, I'm glad Harry isn't a kid anymore.
I'll give a fake name. I'm a generic Asian person.
But yeah, anyway, I still hold a grudge.
I would too. If I see that bitch on the street, she can
catch hands. That's what I'm saying. She
no.
looked at me and closed the door while holding eye contact.
See, the thing is, she knew she didn't have a good reason for that shit. That's why she just did that. She didn't.
I don't even know if you can call that a grudge necessarily, because that's just like a full on like legit issue that you have with it.
No. All right, Greg, you want to go, or you want me to say one of mine?
It's up to you. I was just gonna add to Ash's thing. It just seems like people who get any authority, even if the authority is like the most bullshit authority, like just authority over children, a lot of people let that get to their head in the weirdest ways.
I still to this day I don't understand why we couldn't just wait inside. Like, there's just no good reason.
There's probably someone who complained, like, oh, they're making too much noise, or they're too rowdy, or some shit. And they're like, all right, kick them out, I guess, in the cold.
That is most likely what happened.
Fuck them kids.
Because, like, high schoolers talking is apparently just the biggest fucking issue.
Some fucking 6-ton landwell sitting in the office working the front desk who can't do anything else with their life was probably like, I can't type the 5 words I need to type every other hour because there's too much noise outside.
Harry's
so they need to go because I can't get my work done. And, you know, they're going to sit there for the next 8 hours rotting away anyways while they sit on, you know, drink another 2 big jugs of fucking diet soda.
I feel like Harry's adding some personal feelings here.
Specific.
This is a lot for sympathizing with Abash's experience.
All right, Greg, what were you saying?
I wasn't saying anything.
I will say, after that day, I just learned not to go downstairs till my dad said he was here. Because, like, I could just stay in my internship room, and, like, nobody was going to come up and check. So, like, that's what most students, I feel like, did after that. We just didn't go near the entrance. Because, like, we only had to go outside if we were near the entrance. Like, and, like, my teacher especially did not care. Like, if you know, he was like, all right, yeah, I have, like, nothing else for you guys. Like, he'd leave, but he'd leave the door open. Like, he didn't give a fuck. Mr. Clemens was the goat. So...
Yeah. Okay, I can go next, I guess. So, I have I have 2 things written down here, but I think I'm just going to replace the first one because I just thought of something that I think I have more to say about than the second one. The other one is just like one of my students and their parent. Like, there's a lot of stories in that avenue because a lot of students and a lot of parents can be kind of anal. You didn't hear from me, but yeah, it's very true. I mean, anyone I know that has ever taught anyone has complaints about certain students or certain parents because human beings just tend to be troublesome sometimes. But anyway, the story I'm going to replace that one with is actually the story of like the first place I ever worked, like legit worked, not like, you know, I'm babysitting someone worked.
Red Bull?
Yeah, Red Bull. So for anyone who's getting confused, it's not the energy drink. Red Bull is an Asian restaurant in South Carolina and North Carolina. So I worked at there because my family had some connections with the people there. So a restaurant job is a restaurant job, but I figured may as well go to the one that, you know, is more connected. So I applied, and then obviously I got in because every restaurant always needs young people willing to be underpaid. And overworked.
ready to be overworked and underpaid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right to be exploited.
So yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I got assigned as the busboy of that restaurant, and I'm pretty sure there used to be like 2 or 3 bussers for every shift. And then when I started working there, they seemed to switch to 1 busser because I remember the first few days in like weeks I worked there, I'm pretty sure there were 2, like it was me and someone else. But at some point they just started just having me be there, and the reason why is because I was a fucking good ass busser, bro. I was super good. But it's true though. Like I was really good. Like I mean, because I'm also a long person, so I can hold a lot of shit.
Hey, you gotta calm down.
Please take that out of context. Anyway, so I could hold like 4 plates, like 2 on my arms and then 2 in my hands, and then like stack that shit. Like I was, and also like in all the months I was there, I never broke a single plate or dropped anything. Like I was like on top of that shit, and I also was like sprinting back and forth, and I took care of people's drinks for them instead of letting the waiters do it sometimes. So I was just like, I was really good at my job. And like most of the people there liked me a lot because of that, because obviously I was making their jobs a lot easier by doing my job really well. So and like clearing tables super fast, all by myself. And it's a pretty big restaurant. It's not like one of those like 5-seater restaurants. Like it's a whole ass restaurant with a party room and like an outside, and I was in charge of the whole ass place basically. So it was a lot, especially on like Friday nights, Saturday nights, like those times. Like that's when it gets crazy. Like people start coming in like huge groups.
Just you,
so it's like I have to clear tables really. Yeah. It was literally me and nobody else. And like, because it was obviously understaffed, like in super busy times, the waitresses would help me to get things done faster, but I was doing the bulk of the work. So, so all this context there, my manager and me had kind of a weird relationship where she was kind of mean, but I think she was kind of mean to everybody. So it wasn't like a specifically me sort of thing. Yeah, but I don't want to call her like a huge bitch, because she wasn't like, she didn't do anything particularly crazy or upsetting. It was just her attitude and like tone towards people who were helping her make money.
So she was a bitch.
Yeah, but but the main thing is that she was the manager of that specific restaurant. But Red Bull is a chain of a lot of restaurants, so she wasn't even like the manager of like the. I mean, she was the manager of the restaurant, but there was a guy who was like a manager of the region. And our family actually knows this person. And so this guy like came in only once every like month or so to like collect the money and then leave, essentially. Okay. Like that was his entire thing. He would just come, get the money, and peace out. And sometimes he would stay for like a few hours and stuff, but to like talk to the cooks, because I think all the cooks are connected through all the restaurants for some reason. But anyway, so this guy just would come every now and then. And every time he came, it always felt like he was judging me a lot for some reason. But I just didn't let it get to me, because I was like, well, he probably just has an intimidating presence because he's the big man. Yeah. He's the big manager. But one day, so context needed for this is that like I've told you guys before, but I always say that I jumped on the earbud wagon before anyone else, specifically because I started working at this restaurant.
Yep,
and I wanted something to do. Yeah, so I bought like a really cheap earbud on Amazon back when those were barely a thing, and it was like $10, and that shit lasted me like 2.5, 3 years. So
crazy,
it was a pretty decent
I
earbud.
Run through earbuds every 7 months.
Yeah,
but I use them a lot.
And I think it was back that they would sell just one earbud too.
Yeah, it was a one earbud
crazy
thing.
Part.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty funny, but you know,
right. And it had like it wasn't like the you put the earbud in the case and charged the case. Like you literally plugged it into the earbud because it was just the earbud. But yeah, so I had one of those, and it was really small, and I hid it behind my long ass fucking hair, because I had black hair back then, and it was a black earbud, so it worked out for the most part. But sometimes I would get a haircut, obviously, and then like the earbud would show, and then the manager, the bitch manager, I guess, did see it and talk to me about it. But ultimately, the conclusion we came to was, as long as you're doing your job and it's not interfering with it, then I don't mind. So that was fine, and I was like, okay, nice. I can keep doing this. And by the way, I just listened to music on this. I wasn't into podcasts or anything back then, so it really wasn't taking away from my focus. Like I was still talking to customers and stuff. So I was literally just listening to music to make life a little less sucky, because being a busboy is not particularly fun. Anyway, so this branch manager comes in one day, and then he sees the earbud, and this dude just goes off on me. Like he literally just like gives me a whole ass lecture about how I'm not allowed to be doing that sort of thing on the job, and how it's like not okay. And then he forces me to take it out, and he tells the other manager to not let me use it anymore. And I was just like so mad, because I was like, bro, I fucking solo run this restaurant essentially. If I was not here, no, you would have nobody. There's like one other busboy that's working shifts when I'm not working shifts, and they are not as good as me, and they can't handle every single shift. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm doing my job perfectly well. I'm doing it better than any other busboy you've probably had, and like you have the nerve to tell me that I can't do a basic thing like that when no one has ever complained about me. No one has. People actually have complimented me. Like I got customers that were like, "Oh, he was really nice" and stuff like that. So it's like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you?
That's what
you don't even work here.
I
just come here for money.
I quit.
No, that's the thing, Greg.
I mean, I did quit pretty quickly.
No,
Yeah.
Not because of that, but
100%. I would have taken out my earbud, right? I would have looked at him. I'd have put it back in. I'd have walked the fuck out. I'm not even joking. Like, if in that position, there's no way I wouldn't, because it's a restaurant job, bro. I wouldn't be worried about losing that shit.
And I'm not a waiter. Like, if I was a waiter, I think there's some reasonableness to that, because you're expected to socialize. But I'm a busboy. Like, my job is to wait till everyone leaves and then clean the shit off the table. No. Like, I only interact with people to ask if they want a drink. Yeah. Or if they want me to refill their drink. Like,
nah, bro. I would have tapped the shoulder like, oh, go fuck yourself, and then walk out.
I honestly, like, I think my style would have been, I would have like looked at him, taken the earbud out, put it back in, and then I would have like just walked out, or I would have just like never taken the earbud out, flipped him off, and walked backwards out of the fucking restaurant.
See, sometimes I kind of wish we had jobs like that, but like, you know, back then, because I feel like it would have been so much fun to fuck with people higher up. And do shit like that.
I mean, I do the same at my current job. I'm sure I could find a similar paying job So like if
Yeah.
if I mean I considered it. Actually, I could tell that as a story, so I'll do that after you, Harry.
Oh, yeah. The branch manager isn't the person I'm thinking of, right?
No.
Okay,
You're thinking
that's-
of like the overhead owner. Of
Because I thought he was the
restaurants.
owner.
Yeah, no. That it's not
Okay.
him. It's someone.
Okay,
else,
so the
yeah.
branch manager is just a bitch. Okay.
I have only interacted with the owner a single time. This is a funny. This is quick. I've only interacted with that, despite our family being really close friends with their family. I've only interacted with that guy like a single time for an extended period of time, and that interaction was him challenging me to a game of basketball at his fucking mansion, and I was like, okay, so I play basketball with him. Dude dunks on me like 30 times in a row, giggling the whole time, then leaves. And I was like, bro, what the fuck?
bro was like, let me ball on your ass real quick.
Like, I wasn't even mad. I was just confused. I was like, what was the point? Like,
Wait, how
you could have
old
just
were
done
you?
this without me here. I think I was in middle school.
I would love for
He's like, I
his.
gotta let
He was
him
a
know.
grown-ass
I would
man.
love for his ass to try now.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah. It was just funny because I was just like, what do you gain from doing this?
He's gonna go back to his wife and be like, "Yeah, I dunked on his ass."
All right. Yeah.
And she's gonna look at him like, "Wait, what the fuck was the point of this shit?" Okay. Oh, so probably I guess we're going with the big ones. The only I think, in my opinion, the closest I got really angry to someone that I was actually about to throw hands with them, and I think I've told this story, was I had a senior coworker back when I worked at Daifuku at the warehouse. I was a Tech 2, and the Tech 3s were essentially the shift leads, right? And Tech 2 is just, you're the busybodies, right? So one of the Tech 3s was a similar, just new hire like me. He has been there, maybe a couple months longer, but he was, I think, maybe half a year older than me. But he had, no experience, really. And so the only reason he got hired as a Tech 3 is because they needed people, and he passed the Tech 3 exam. And so, we're kind of buddy-ish, because he was kind of weird. Also very spotty on actually doing work for shit.
Wait, is this the guy that got walked out in the end?
Yeah, eventually he did get walked out. Yeah. And so, in the warehouse,
term,
because it's an Amazon warehouse.
I want to interrupt again, but I just love that term, because walked out makes it sound like they literally fucking execute someone. It's like, yeah, you walked out back, and the firing squad let loose.
Yeah.
Walked out. Okay. Yes.
Anyway.
I was the way I was thinking about that was not correct.
What were you thinking?
No. I mean, so I think the funny...
No, it's stupid. For some
slightly-
reason, when you said walked out, I thought you meant he was in charge of people and they all just walked out.
Okay.
What the
As
fuck?
a strike sort of thing.
No,
I was
no.
what? I don't remember
I think
this.
the funny thing, the wall for the walkout thing, was when they were doing a whole bunch of management reform and firing the people. So our current building manager walked out the Tech 3s and the other lower managers.
And then she got walked out.
And then a different manager that was going to replace him walked him out because he was getting fired.
It's quite literally walking the plank, but corporation version.
The funniest thing
Yeah,
would
so
have been if it was during the day, so it's kind of like a Hunger Games, everyone finding the fucking people going kind of thing. It's just so holy motherfuckers get selected.
So yeah, someone walks out and they announce it over the
Dun, dun.
intercom, and they're like, "This person of District 2,
Yeah.
they're out."
I mean, the thing is, this is definitely off topic, but it's I think people could see it because the warehouse operated 24/7, and there's only an hour and a half time frame where there wasn't Amazon employees in there, and I'm pretty sure it happened when there was employees coming in and out and shit.
Damn.
So motherfuckers just saw that shit, yeah. But so with the Amazon warehouse, they want shit when it's supposed to be operating and not shutdown time for that little time for our maintenance. Basically, the main equipment needs to be constantly running, and if it's down for longer than I think 5 minutes, it's called a severity. The severity level of the what's it called? The ticket goes up to 2 or 1, depending on how bad it is. And when that happens, basically all the managers get on a call with each other. Regional manager gets on a call. People who are day shift manager gets on a call, and the higher Tech 3s all get on a call together to make sure they can get that going up as quick as possible. And sometimes they even have engineers for the region get on the call to help diagnose or troubleshoot certain issues.
Yeah.
So obviously they don't want that happening because there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But and you want those resolved as quickly as possible because it's downtime. When they don't want any downtime. So we had one of those calls. There was a severity 2. One of the transfer belts between the sorters was fucking up, and so we were trying to get it so it wasn't fucking up, essentially, right? And so while we're working, I forget exactly how this came to be, but something happened, and so since he's a Tech 3, he's kind of in charge of this shit, right? And especially since he's the main one working with on that part, and so he's responsible for it. And so it's the benefit of being a Tech 2. I don't really take responsibility for that kind of shit because if there's a Tech 3 there,
of course.
they're the ones who are the head honcho of that.
Right.
Unless I absolutely fuck it up.
That's how our job is too. Like the supervisors give the crew leaders all the like runes and shit that need to be done, and then like they just like do it along with us. But it's like if I feel like if I just feel tired, I will just slow down because I don't care. Whether or not the job gets done does not reflect on me in any way.
It's not similar, but not really. For most cases, but yeah, no, I get I get you. And so we were working on it, and so he says something, kind of jokingly, and then I retort back, I think, and then he gets all serious and haunchy at me, and I was like, all right, what the fuck? And so I was a little bit annoyed with him already. And I was like, all right, you can't be doing this. You can't be a pancake flip-floppity on this. you can't choose when you want to be kind or you want to be joking when you want to be serious.
Sounds like an ego issue.
And then I think he looked at me and said, I'll seriously mess you up. And I looked at him because he's across from me. And so my manager and one of the other techs, one of them next to me, they both like go pale face because I was about to absolutely roll his ass. Because he's probably like maybe a little shorter than you, Dash, a little bit more meat on him, but I could still roll his ass. I was about to whoop his shit. And I was like, oh, word? and so eventually the manager's like, okay, let's take a breather here and let's get back to work. And so I remember it was, that was the closest I was ever about to actually just throw down. And I was about to take him outside and absolutely roll his ass. I think, because he said something about like, meet me in a parking lot or some shit. Yeah, no, exactly. And so later after the severity,
they were about to walk him out on a fucking stretcher.
Yeah, no. Later after the what's it called? We finally resolved the shit and the severity was over. The manager and my other coworkers, they're sitting there like, yo, we thought we were about to beat his ass right there. Because they're like, he's like, I was so scared you were about to go grab his ass and start whooping him. Because that obviously would have been really bad because everyone's eyes is on that moment too. So
Right.
And because he thought he could take me, and they're like, no, you would have whooped his ass.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. Like, if anyone's actually seen Harry in action, it's like, I've seen this man carry cinder blocks, so I guess I just know more than, like, most people. Because, I've met people, like, your build that, like, you would destroy, too. So it's like, just because, like, I guess your build alone doesn't convey what you can do. But, yeah. This is what I mean, is, like, I feel safe when Harry's in my corner. I'll yell at motherfuckers that I know can whoop my ass, because I do not care.
Because I'll fight just because.
Harry's been looking for a fight for years now.
No, Harry literally has the dog in him. Like, if that statement actually is accurate to anyone, it's Harry.
Harry has that motherfucking dog in him.
Honestly, I literally wished he actually followed up with, to see me in the parking lot afterwards. Because I would have went out there. I would have literally dropped everything, walked out in the parking lot, and absolutely whooped his shit.
Man, I want to see the alternate universe where Harry goes to Star Guides in Oak Ridge and just see what he does.
That would even be a traumatic experience for Harry. He would like wear that with pride. It's like, oh yeah. And then this guy who just has like a billionaire parent like talk shit literally ran him into a tree. Best moment of my life. That's the other thing. I doubt the guy knew that you had like 3 years of rugby practice on you. So like you're good at grappling, which is kind of like the main thing with street fights is like, can you take somebody to the ground and then like deal with that? So
yeah, and then the reason he got fired was mainly because of that, because he kept ignoring the other Tech 3's instructions to how to fix it on the call.
Okay.
Because he kept trying to do his own thing, thinking he knew what the fuck he's doing, whereas his work ethic's garbage, and he doesn't do half the work he's supposed to be doing most of the time.
Yeah.
And so, he got walked out for that, and also because when we're doing a whole rebuild of a lot of shit, he literally disappeared for like 3 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, apparently in the bathroom, but
3 hours?
The motherfuckers were like, oh yeah. No, apparently he.
So
has
did you literally see him like get walked out?
No. Sadly, I was actually working.
I was like, you could have like waved, been like, bye.
Imagine! Holy shit! I would fucking live for that. I just like working and then just a friendly, but no, it'd be like the English chants that no. Hey.
Bye. Good.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah. But that was probably like the closest I actually got into a full-on altercation with someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I actually was able to, just because.
This is what I mean. Like I'd feel like no issues if I like started a fight when Harry was next to me, because I'd be like after that fight, Harry'd be like, "Why'd you start that fight?" I'd be like, "You're welcome."
I'd be like, yeah, but I still want to know why it started.
So you've been holding that in for decades. I just gave you free therapy.
Honestly.
By the way, I don't have repressed anger or anything.
Yeah.
Shut
the fuck up.
Catch us on our next episode, Repressed Anger. All right. We should probably get through the next ones a little faster. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll just do one more round.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just pick the one you think is most interesting.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about.
Yeah,
Albert is screaming bloody.
I'll talk
murder.
about the one person that like really pissed me off. Though I never considered to throw hands with him, because like this guy, I actually think would stand a pretty good chance against you, Harry. Man's pretty scary. Well, first of all, he's 6'1". Second of all, I think his job before this was military. And so yeah, I never thought about throwing hands with him. He just annoys me.
See, I'm curious to throw hands with Cameron, because I would like to see how it'd stand against people who've gone through military training.
Okay, but that doesn't count. He's training to be like a nuclear engineer or some shit, and like, he did 2 months of basic.
That's true, but they've gone through
That's
basic.
Nothing.
That's fair. That's
nothing.
fair.
That doesn't count. This guy, fair. Like, he looks like he's like, he actually looked like he's like in active like military. And also like he's old. That's the only reason I'm not confident he'll beat you. Because if he was like 10, 20 years younger, I'd be like, yeah, this guy would just straight rip you apart, because he's massive. And also like his job is just lifting heavy shit, and he's been doing it for decades. So like, bro is strong. But he's also a massive jackass. So I think I've told you guys the story, but basically, it started when I switched to morning shifts. I used to work evening shifts, but I was like, nah, I need to fix my sleep schedule. So I started morning shift, which starts at like 7. The first couple of weeks, it was fine. And then one of these days, I come in and I see a new crew leader. I'm like, oh, neat. So far, all the crew leaders have been pretty nice to me. Anyway, this guy... like we start out, so we have 2 buildings that we manage. I work at a convention center, and in Vancouver there's 2 convention centers basically. The first one got built in 1986, and the next one is like right across the street basically, and it's it was like 2008 or something, so it's a lot more new. So generally the events happen in the west building, but sometimes if events are so big that they book out both. Or sometimes there's multiple events going on, so one's in the west, one's in the east, so on and so forth. But anyway, there's a connector for like employees inside, so you can go from one building to the next. And the day starts off. This man fucking, by the way, he walks like he has to, like he walks like he's in a speed walking competition at all times. Like, I'm fairly young. I have fairly long legs, so like, if I need to walk fast, I can walk pretty fast. Nah, this man is basically running with the way he walks. It's so like awkward. It's like that NPC speed, when it's like walking is too slow but running is too fast. It's just so annoying to keep up with. But anyway, this was back when I was fairly new, so I never had I didn't have a radio at this time. I was mostly like skeptical, like I'd never been taught to use one, so I didn't bother. And also, I was just like, I'm not gonna like take on more responsibility unless I'm forced to. This was that day that ended up being like, okay, yeah, give me the radio. But anyway, what happened was we were in the East, and there was only 3 of us. So in general, how it worked for me all the time was what would happen is like the crew leader would go into a room, and then if it was like, okay, this job only like requires 1 or 2 people, like they'd like get me or like one of the other like drones, and like we do the job, and then usually like by the time we're done, like they come back, they check in on us, and then like they take us to the next room, or like before they go, they'll tell us where they're going to be, right? Because that's just common sense, right? Like I don't know where you're going to be. You're handling a bunch of calls. I don't know like the work orders. So like you need to tell me where I should meet you. So anyway, this happened. Like he walked into a room and he was like, okay, can you handle this task? And like he told me what I need to do. I was like, yeah, I got it. And so like I finished. It took me like 5 minutes to finish. And like I look and he's just gone. I'm like, okay. So I waited like 10 minutes and he just wasn't there. I was like, I feel uncomfortable just like waiting in a room that's about to be filled with people. So like I went to like the elevator area to wait, but I was just like waiting for 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, I guess I should like go find him. So I go, and then like I meet him on like a different floor, and he's like, where have you been? I've been searching for you. I was like, I waited outside the elevator like 15 minutes. You weren't there. So I went looking for you. And he's like, okay, well, he didn't like say, he was just like, okay, but like it was in that it was like a suspicious okay, like I'd been lying about that. So anyway, we do another task, and then we get to another room where he's like, okay, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I got it. And so I do it, and then fucking buddy once again disappears. This happened 3 times. I'll just speed it up. This happened 3 times that day. Each time, like, he'd find me, like, I'd, like, I'm just, like, walking, but, like, on my phone because I'm bored out of my mind. And I'm like, well, I'm just walking to a place to meet him where I think he's going to be. And he's like, where are you? And I'm like, bro, like, you have to tell me where you're going to go. And he just never did. So anyway, lunchtime rolls around, and I'm eating my lunch. I look, and he's just gone back to the building, I guess. It was pretty swamped that day. And so I guess he was just, like, gone. And then I was like, what? So I was like, should I go back? I was like, I don't know. Like, even if I go back, it's a whole building. I don't know what part of the building he's on. So there's also an event happening west, and Carlos was like the crew leader in charge of the west building. So I go up to him and I'm like, the guy I got like put with just like went. So I was like, what should I do? And he was like, you could just stick with me, I guess. I was like, okay, it works for me. I was like, thank fuck. I actually, like, I like this dude. So I worked with him for like 10 minutes, and then like they radioed him, and they were like, is he with you? And he was like, yeah. And so like, oh, can you send him back? We need him. And he was like, sure. So I was like, fuck. But anyway, I went back. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I guess they are busy, so they need me. And then like this guy like pulls me into one of the servers. The other like drone there, by the way, I haven't mentioned him, but it was just 3 of us, and this other drone guy, he's also like 60 and possibly just the most annoying human on the planet. He's like, there's like a seniority list, right, of like all the staff here, and I think he's like 3rd on the list for the drones, which like I always feel like, if you're high on that list, you should be ashamed, because you shouldn't be there. You should be in the crew leader section. Like, if you've worked at this place for like 20 years and you haven't gone to crew leader, what the fuck are you doing with your life? It's not even that hard. But anyway, like, he likes to act like he's a crew leader. So like, he keeps like telling people what to, and like, back when I was like newer at the job, I'd listen because like, I didn't want to cause any trouble. I was like, oh, he probably knows more than me because he's been here like 30 fucking years. But anyway, like they both pull me in essentially, and like he like the crew leader guy just like keeps going off on me. He's like, you can't just like go wherever you want, do whatever you want. I was like, okay, first of all, I was eating lunch. I didn't even take like the whole 30 minutes. I looked and you weren't there. You didn't tell me where you were going. You didn't tell me that you were going. You just left. Second of all, I asked the crew leader what I should do, and then he was like, "Oh, you can stick with me." So I stuck with him, and we argued the same point for like 20 fucking minutes. I was like, how are you failing to grasp that I didn't just go do whatever I wanted? Because like he seemed like hell bent on like I was just like goofing off. I was like, bro, I literally wasn't though. Anyway, that was like the first argument. It was such a huge argument. Anyway, after that, I was like, I need to get a radio so like I can just like keep asking this dumbass where he goes. We argued twice after that. Like this is just an extended, like he's just so like he gets so stressed anytime he gets a call. There's this one time we got like a call on the radio. The client like wanted a couple things. And so like he was discussing it with the other crew leader and he was like, "Oh, I didn't hear the call at all." So I was like, I thought they said they wanted this. And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "No." I was trying to confirm it with you. And so like the lady finally answers back to confirm. And turns out I was wrong on what they wanted. And once again, he starts going off and I'm like, bro, I literally he was like, "This is why you should leave the calls to the crew leaders. Like, you don't know what you're doing." I was like, I literally asked you if this was what it was. Like, I wasn't trying to undermine your job. I was like, what is your problem? The other guy, who I also have problems with, but the other guy was like, just don't take it personally. He just is always like this. But yeah, anyway, after like the third time that me and him just got into an argument, I was so ready to quit. I was ready to like walk up to Cameron and be like, "Yeah, I can't do this. Like, I quit." And then he'd be like, if he asked me why, I just tell him, I'm like, I know like he's like one of your most senior crew leaders, but he's just a goddamn asshole and I refuse to work with him. But then I just switched to weekend shift, and he never works weekends, so I haven't had to deal with him since. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I do remember this story.
It's just like, why? It's not that deep.
It seems like a lot of people, the common thread between all of our stories so far is like a lot of people who have even a little bit of authority, tend to and don't actually have the ability to be in the position that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah,
are just like it can be not a good time.
Yeah, it's like you get a position of like higher like responsibility just because you have either your work experience or you're capable of doing stuff, but you don't actually know how to lead a team or lead other people. Yeah. So you're not really that very useful at that position.
And then like some people just don't have like basic problem solving skills.
Yeah.
I also learned a lot of lore about him later too. So it turns out
lore.
Yeah, lore.
I like using lore for like actual real life people.
So it turns out like there's usually like 3 crew leaders in the morning shifts. One starts earlier than the other 2. So it turns out that guy used to be a manager. And when he was manager, they were in desperate need of crew leaders at one point. So he promoted Ray at one point. The guy I like argued with, he promoted him to crew leader behind the back of like the head guy at our department. His name's Charles. So apparently he was never supposed to be crew leader. So when like Charles found out, he went ballistic. He was like, "What the fuck, bro? I specifically like I did promote him because I didn't want him in that position." But I mean, like to be fair, like I can say a lot about him. Like the guy is good at his job. He's just a jackass. So it's like I think it like worked out for them. But yeah, he is a massive dick.
Yeah.
The other guy though pisses me off more because he's the same position as me, technically speaking, right? He's a crew member, and it's like he talks with such like authority and like it's okay to like say like, "Oh, you should probably do it this way," because it's like he does have more experience, and like I do it now because like we got a bunch of new hires, and I tell him like I would probably do it differently because it's like them. Like this is wrong, and like but like I always like do it in a way that's like constructive and not like tearing people down. I don't know. Like he's just so.
I mean, I feel like the only right way to do that in that position is to act as if you're just someone with slightly more experience talking to someone with slightly less experience, and not someone who is objectively smarter or better than the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, it just.
Yeah.
All right. My next story, it's honestly like not even that upsetting. This is definitely on the more weird side of things because I was thinking along the lines of like bad or weird experiences. So this one is a little bit more weird than bad. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was more just a funny thing. And yeah, so it turns out the recorders that Adash has of me, I actually planted them.
Wait, what?
And then sent me the link.
Exactly.
But like anonymously, so like I didn't know.
Yes. He still doesn't know, actually. Yeah. Fucking dumb piece of shit. Anyway, so this story requires a little bit of context, so I'm just going to replace everybody's names involved in the story, but anybody who knows me and these people
for the record, I totally did that.
Wait, what?
In my story. Okay, definitely did that.
So I'm gonna do that too. Well, I'm going to also do that. Yep. Yeah, so just so that I don't have to say the real names, but I do need to mention these people since they're a part of the situation. So this whole thing starts, not really starts, but the reason why I thought of this is because there's an old friend of mine that when the whole Star Guides shit happened, I dropped out of orchestra. Actually, Harry knows the orchestra I'm talking about. So I was in an orchestra, and then besides dropping out of school, I also had to drop out of orchestra, obviously. So I straight up just disappeared, but he was like probably my best friend at orchestra, or at least one of them. And so I literally just disappeared, and then we never met again until like 3 days ago, which was pretty surreal.
Wait, really?
It's been like 8 years. Yeah, it's not 8 years. It's been like 5, but it's been at least 6 or 7.
Middle school, right?
Well, no, Star Guides happened ninth grade for me, so yeah. So like 6-7 years. It's a long time. It's been almost a decade basically since I've seen this guy, and we were like pretty close. So he's actually the one who literally introduced me to One Piece, and you guys know how obsessed I am with that.
Yeah, I heard it was crazy.
Actually, no. There's a 1 month break because he's getting Oda's getting eye surgery, and he said he's gonna have laser vision when he comes out of eye surgery. And I believe it, so.
He said laser vision.
Yeah, he said I'm getting eye surgery, and then I'm gonna have laser vision when I come out of it.
That's dope as fuck.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Homie said it's upgrade time.
He's like, I'm getting eye surgery. I didn't know there was anything wrong with your eyes. There isn't. I want to make them better.
Yeah. Anyway, so I gotta call this guy Vincent, but he was a good friend of mine, and it was really nice catching up with him recently. But yeah, so one of the stories we talked about, because this is something surreal that happened to me and my other friend at the time, who was a much closer friend actually than Vincent. This is like probably one of the closest friends I've ever had.
Barry with an H.
No, we're gonna name him Lorenzo.
Okay, Lorenzo.
Yeah. Have fun guessing who these people are, Harry, because you might know a few of them. But anyway,
I'm trying.
Yeah, so Lorenzo was like, before Harry, Lorenzo was the shit, bro. Like, me and Lorenzo were tight. So anyway, this is a story involving me and Lorenzo because we were good friends and we were smart. Like, we were your classic Asian smart. But Vincent, also pretty classic Asian smart. I think he was probably a little smarter than us, but he was in there. I mean, look, Vincent went to Princeton, okay?
Damn.
And he graduated like near the top of his class, and he's now doing like really big VR stuff. Anyway, so there's 2 other people that need to be introduced to this story. 2 of my mom's students, actually. Their names were Ronnie and Adrian. And not that, but you know. Yeah. I was pretty good friends with Ronnie and Adrian. They weren't really my age group, but when you're all young, you all just play anyway. So I'd still consider us pretty good friends. But the special thing about Ronnie and Adrian is their parents were fucking psychotic. Like, if you think of like the classic Tiger Mom, their mom was that, like, pretty much to a T, and then their dad was like the Tiger Mom version of a dad. So he was like, they were both just insane.
I think I know who Ronnie and Adrian are.
Yeah, and like they lived like the most strict, like they had clubs 24/7 that they were supposed to be part of, and they were
you
like learning
mentioned
like
these
way
guys,
above their
actually.
grade. Yeah,
Did they
yeah.
go on, like, a TV
and
show? Was that different people?
one of them
Okay,
did,
okay.
yes.
Yeah,
One
okay,
of them got on. One of them was on Ellen. So
Yeah.
yeah, so very very smart. Both went to Ivy League colleges, I believe. At least one of them did.
Fucking tryhard.
But
Facts.
true, but anyway, so but they were good kids. At least one of them was a good kid. At least, but yeah, no, their parents were psychotic. So anyway, one of these days, their parents talks to my parents and says, oh hey, like all these really smart Asian kids are hanging out at this math counts club. It's not like one of those like shitty public school ones. It's like a private math counts club that takes place in the competitions. So we were like, oh, well, I wasn't like, oh, but my parents were like, oh. And then and then my parents talked to Lorenzo's parents. By the way, I've never known anyone named Lorenzo. Like that is fucking anyway.
Lorenzo.
So yes, Lorenzo. Yeah. So me and Lorenzo, of course, within a few days of them talking about this, get sent to the next math counts class. So this is the main experience. I walk in, me and Lorenzo walk in there. It's in the basement of this house, of this kind of small house, and it's like there's like a shitty projector there, and there's like 8 Asian kids, all younger than us. They're all boys too. They're all around like Ronnie and Adrian's age, which was like younger than us, and we were like 13, 14 at the time. So and then we walk in there, and then the teacher is a pretty young Asian guy, and you learn very quickly that this guy is not really a teacher. He kind of just like puts things up on the he puts like problems up on the projector and then just waits for people to solve them, and then sometimes he puts problems up that are way too hard for anyone to solve and then just kind of moves on from it without like saying anything about it. So he's kind of
useless.
He barely qualifies as a teacher at all, and the only reason it's working is because these kids are all fucking insane. Like literally like the most
so
psychotic
sweaty.
people I've ever seen. No, not just sweaty. No, sweaty is not enough to describe how fucking aggressive every single one of these kids were. Anytime a problem would come on board, like these are the most like hyperactive, problematic children, but the second that a problem would come on board, just total silence, because everybody wants to be the first one to solve it. So it's like they're all super try hard competing, and then when they get it, they start screaming the answer so that nobody else can answer it. And it's like so fucking intense. And me and Lorenzo are just sitting there like, what the fuck? And all of them are way smarter than us because we didn't know the answers to a lot of these
Y'all was
things
just
at
like,
all.
what are these dweebs?
Yeah, we had no
doing?
idea what was going on. Yeah, and they were all like doing these problems, and it was terrible. And then there was break. So this is where shit gets interesting. So during break, we go outside to play basketball. They were just as try hard, and that was the most aggressive game of basketball I've ever played in my life. And it was a bunch of like young guys, like 3 years younger than me, like 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds, and they were like full on tackling and screaming and like crying, and it was like the most intense shit. And then once again, me and Lorenzo were just like, what is going on? Like it was just insane. So by the time we left that, both of us were like,
Never again.
I don't really want to come back here again. Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty much that story. It was just it was so surreal.
I
just like
wonder,
seeing
though,
a group of Asian kids
like,
that are all uber
Do
competitive.
they like go back home and they're like, that was a good day of basketball and math?
Like it's so normal to them that they don't even realize how insane
Yeah,
they're
like,
being. They're
I
just like,
wonder.
yeah, that was a good day. Yeah.
They probably are.
Yeah, 'cause if
They
they're
probably-
I
and
wonder
10.
how many of them. I wonder how many of them grew up to be self-aware enough to be like, wow, that was really silly. To care that much about a basketball game being played during break, during a math count.
Honestly, if they're like basically
homeschool
raised like
math
first
counts.
gens, I doubt they would actually look back and be like,
become
yeah, that probably
self-aware.
wasn't- Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah, they're probably like, yeah, that was the best thing I could have done in that situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure my kids do the same.
I wish I had won more of those basketball games.
So,
I will say though, Vincent, the friend I met recently, we did go more than once, but it was only like 3 or 4 times. And one of the break
before we
times,
leave, I do want to guess to see if I know who these.
yeah, you can, yeah. But we played ping pong once during break, and Vincent, he is not like no casual ping pong player. He took lessons from childhood and like took place in like tournaments and shit, along with all the other shit he was doing. I will say Vincent, totally chill, awesome, nice guy. He was the one like not crazy aggressive dude that was there. But anyway, we played ping pong. Dude fucking schooled my shit. Like, it was not even close. I could not return a single one of his serves, and some of them I just couldn't even hit because they were ridiculously fast and had so much spin on them. It was fucking terrifying. But nice guy though. I love that guy.
All right.
Honestly,
I was like, I might just pass over my last two because they're not even. I've already said or told both of them to you, and neither of them are really that. I'll say interesting per se. And since honestly, mainly because we're kind of getting low on time, I need to be asleep really soon.
True.
Yeah.
So I think we can just go ahead and go.
True.
To the ending segment.
Sleepy little Hammy.
Okay.
Got to go to sleep.
I
actually need to go to sleep too. Whose topic?
You.
Yeah. Oh. That's awkward.
Oh, am I spinning the wheel?
No. I'm spinning the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean, yes. No, I knew about this,
okay.
yes. I got the wheel order wrong.
I was about to be like, Greg? Yep.
No, I got it, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't got it, but I knew that I didn't get it because I didn't need to, because Victoria's going to be a guest next week.
No!
Next time we
did
record.
mention this. It's the easy topic for you.
Yeah. I asked her about it yesterday, and she was like, about time you asked me. I've literally been waiting for you to let me on.
I mean, to be fair. To be fair.
Yeah, the one concurrent listener, so so that will be happening. I'll ask her if she wants to come up with like any specific topic and then just tell you guys about it earlier if we do, but yeah, we might just be talking, we'll see. She's pretty chaotic. Don't tell her I said that. Okay, and then wheel spinning.
Yep, I have spun the wheel and I'm getting everything trivia.
Oh, a trivia segment run by Harry.
All right, so for that, do you want me to make it a just random knowledge general trivia, or do you want to make it topic specific?
I think we should do cars.
Okay, I'll do like a 10 question car one.
Nice.
Something like that. 10, 12 question or some shit. Just something real quick.
God damn, boys. We are
give Victoria
so
in there.
low on the search engine like the SEO. We do not show up when I search the Derailed podcast.
Oh.
I just learn a lot of our views.
Well,
we consistently average 9 views as our lowest. Who is watching these?
That's my question. Like, I'm more just like, obviously Victoria's watching or listening.
Yeah, who else is watching this shit?
Yeah, who's like the one or two other people that are concurrently listening? Like, what the fuck? State yourself. Name yourself.
Okay. Actually,
if you're on YouTube,
put
it in a comment down below.
Yeah, we want you as a guest on our next podcast.
It's not just us, because I haven't watched.
Yeah, I mean, not even the YouTube videos, but like the Spotify listeners and stuff. Like, there's always like it used to be like 5 or 6. Right now, it's like 2 or 3, so it's not that much. But there's still 2 or 3. And my sister isn't listening to the ones right now because she's home and she's not like walking anywhere where she needs to listen to the podcast. So I don't know who those 2 or 3
so she's not up to
are.
date.
Yeah, no, she's not.
Oh,
yeah. So you can say whatever you want now. Ha. Blah, 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 blah. But I don't know who those 2 or 3 other people who are listening.
Well, we appreciate you either way.
They're probably not listening all the way through. What's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They probably listen like 5 minutes in and like, what the fuck is this shit? And
so if you're one of those people, fuck you. Just kidding. Just kidding. If you're still here. If you're not here, fuck you. Okay, outro. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on Derailed. We run the same day and time every week, 12 o'clock a.m. Eastern on Fridays. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@the-derailed-podcast and as Derailed on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you go to get your podcasts. Thank you all for accompanying us on this journey, and we hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Peace.